Hiya 10, hope you're all well and enjoyed your Easter break. Going to try something a bit different today. In that I'm going to try and teach the lesson interactively and talk over what I'm doing as I go. Hopefully you find it a bit more useful than just me saying watch a video or just trying to get on with the work yourself. But I'd be interested to know how you found it. So if you think it was useful, if you think it was good, or if you think it could be improved, or if you didn't find it useful, then could you just email me and just give me some feedback about how you think it was? Yeah. So first topic that we're going to cover like this is trigonometry, and it's something you will have done before, but quite a long time ago, sort of at the end of year 9. So you've had time to forget it as well. So gonna start from the beginning. We'll see how we go. So it's gonna do this topic for probably the next couple of weeks because it's quite a big topic. Things you'll need are your exercise book, pen, pencil, ruler, and definitely a calculator as well. So pause the video, go and get those things, and then write your title of trigonometry. And what we're going to be doing today is finding missing sides. So there may be a few glitches along the way because it's the first time I'm doing this. So just bear with me if anything goes wrong. But hopefully it'll be all right. So first thing to do is trigonometry is all about right angled triangles for us. And the first thing we need to know how to do is know how to label the sides of a right angled triangle. Now, one of these sides we should know from when we've done Pythagoras. And the one side that's easiest to label is the hypotenuse. I know that's the hypotenuse because it is opposite my right angle. So opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse. It's also the longest side, but I'm not given any side lengths here, so I need another way to tell what it is. And that way to know is that it's opposite my right angle. So hypotenuse, always start by labelling that because it's the easiest one to spot. Now your other sides, they are labelled in relation to another angle, not the right angle, another angle that will be given in the question. So I'm just going to say, let's imagine we're given this one and it's just called x for now. So it could be 50, 60, it could be any degrees, but we don't know it, let's just call it x. So my other sides that I can label, well, this one is called my opposite because it is opposite my angle in question. So not opposite the right angle, I know that's the hypotenuse, but opposite the angle that's might be labelled x, or it could be given to you, but opposite is opposite the other angle that's not the right angle. And my other side, the one that's left, is called the adjacent. And that's called the adjacent because adjacent just means that it's next to something. So if I said I was adjacent to Mr. Brown, that would mean I'm standing next to Mr. Brown. So it's called adjacent because it's next to my angle in question. When I'm saying angle in question, didn't mean to scribble over it, meant to highlight it. I'm talking about that angle there. Another example of this, so I'm going to draw the same triangle again. My right angle's here. This time I'm going to say that my angle, my unknown angle, is up here. And something else that you need to get used to seeing is it might be called theta. And that's often used in to denote a missing angle. So get used to seeing that it's like a 0 with a line through it. It's just the same as if you saw it as X. So I'm going to have a go at labelling this. Maybe pause the video, see if you can have a go at it first. Just sketch it in your book. And then I'm going to start by labelling this one as my hypotenuse, which I just shortened to hype. Now opposite, I know it's opposite the angle that's the other angle. So this one is my opposite. I'm going to call that op. And I prefer to do those 3 letters of OPP because if I do an O for opposite, then it can look like a 0. And I don't want to get confused in any way. And then my final side is my adjacent. That's next to my angle here. But it's easiest to just think of it as the last side to label. Okay, so we're going to have a go at labeling some triangles. So you can write the subheading of labeling triangles. I'll do this first one here, and then you can have a go at the next 4. So the first one, let's start with my hypotenuse, which I'll call hype. Then this one is going to be op, because it's opposite my angle labelled X. And then finally, this one's my adjacent. Right, pause the video, have a go at the other 4. Just sketch them out in your book. Okay, so you should now have your red pen out ready to mark. This one will be my hype, this one my op, and this one my ADJ. And opposite my right angle is my hypotenuse, opposite the other angle is my opposite, final side is my adjacent. Opposite my right angle is my hypotenuse, opposite the angle, opposite, and then this other one here is my adjacent. I'll sort of run out of space a bit there, but that's my adjacent one. Okay, so hopefully we're feeling comfortable with labelling the sides now. What we need to do now is, well, what is trigonometry? How do we use it? And lots of you will remember SOHCAHTOA. So what does this represent? Well, the S stands for sine, which is a button on your calculator, and it's some function that happens. And then next to our trig function, I call that, so sine is a trig function, we always have the angle, which I'll call theta. I could also call it x as well, so I could also have sine x. But the important thing is that it's an angle, so that always goes next to my trig function. Then the thing that I need to remember is the formula, which will be sine of the angle, so that sine of the angle is equal to my opposite side divided by my hypotenuse. So whatever those lengths are, I can just substitute them in. Or you might see it as sine x equals op over hype. So the reason SO helps you is because O represents opposite, H represents hype, and then S, let's find another colour, S represents sine of the angle. So that's how to remember it. O comes first, so it's on top of this here. Something else you might have seen, and I'm going to encourage us to use this, is write out SO as a bit like when you do a speed distance time triangle. So O is in the middle, and it's in the middle of the triangle, so SOH. And this relates to this formula here. So cap, what does that mean? Well, that means cos of the angle equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Your triangle would be cap with A in the middle, so it's in the middle of that triangle. Next one, tan of the angle and your triangle would look like that. So make sure you've got all of that down in your book. It's really important, so make sure it's nice and neat, and then we'll go on to how to use this. So I'll pause the video and then I'll go on to the next thing. Okay, so how does all this labeling the sides and the SOHCAHTOA, how does that actually help me to find a missing side? Remember, that was our title, finding missing sides. My missing side here is X. So how am I going to find that? Well, first thing I'm going to do, I know it's a trigonometry question because it's a right angled triangle and I'm given an angle here. So this, I'm going to label it first. So this side is my hypotenuse. There's my opposite and there's my adjacent. So let's write out SOHCAHTOA. And then I'm going to do the rest of this in silence, and then I'll talk through my working and highlight bits after. So just undivided attention, watching what I'm doing, see if you can work out why I've done what I've done. So this is a point now where I pick up my calculator. Something you need to do is make sure you're at the top of your calculator. It says D, there's a capital D at the top of it. That means that it's in the right mode. It's in degrees. If you want to change that, you have to go Shift Setup and then change it to just press the button that's for degrees. I think it's number 1. So typing that into my calculator. I'll get X is equal to 20, and it's sort of uncommon to get like a nice round number. Normally you'll get decimal places and you'll have to round it. But just because of I've chosen some easy numbers here, just because it doesn't make it as complicated then. So let's talk through what I did. Labelled it, wrote out SOHCAHTOA. I knew I had to use the SOH part because I was given the opposite and I wanted to find the hypotenuse. That's why I ticked these here and here, because I've got the opposite and I want to find the hypotenuse. So then I did my SOH triangle. Remember, O is in the middle, so it's in the middle of that triangle, so SOH. And then from that, I covered up h. Why did I cover up h? Because I need to find it. So it's just like speed, distance, time. If you want to find speed, you'd cover up the s. Here I cover up the h because I want to find it. So that tells me that I need to do opposite divided by sine whatever the angle is. So sine theta. Opposite divided by sine theta, because we know that a line represents divide in maths, so O over S represents opposite divided by sine theta. Okay, next up then, I just subbed in my numbers. So opposite, I can see is 10 centimeters, so that's where that 10 comes from. Sine of the angle is what the S stands for, so sine 30 comes from there. Sine because it was to do with the SOC part of trigonometry, of SOHCAHTOA rather. Then just type that into my calculator and I got 20. That was my final answer. Right, get down that example in your books. Have a go at the one on the right. Pause the video and then I'll go through it. Okay, so you should have had a chance to have a go at that. First thing we're going to do is label it. Height. And this one is my adjacent. Notice that I didn't actually label my hypotenuse there because I'm not giving it, so I'm not giving it and I don't need to find it, so it's not actually related to this question, so I could leave it off, I could write it in, but it doesn't really matter. So I need to find opposite, and I've got my adjacent, so I know it's something to do with tan. Now I need to find my opposite, so I'm gonna cover up that. Now that means that to find my opposite, it must be tan of the angle times by the adjacent. So that's 10 there. Sorry, let's leave it as adjacent for now. So then I'm gonna sub in. So op is, that's called x, or you could just leave it as, right, we're finding op. Tan theta. Now remember, the theta is always to do with that angle that you're given there. So that'd be tan 30. When you're typing this into your calculator, make sure you close that bracket, otherwise you are going to get the wrong answer. So tan, and it opens the bracket for you, so make sure you close it off as well. So tan 30 times by, and I know it's times because they're next to each other here, there's no divide sign in there like before with O over S. It's T and A next to each other, so that means I'm going to times them together. And then my adjacent is 10. So just to highlight where those come from, tan 30 comes from there, and my side, my adjacent is 10, so that comes from there. Type that into your calculator, as I said, close the bracket, and then you should get, don't want to be in highlighter, x equals 5.7735, blah blah blah. Let's round that off to one decimal place, 5.8, and it's in centimeters. So what I'm saying is that side there is 5.8 centimeters. Hopefully you got that too. If you didn't, go through my working, go through yours, see where you made the mistake. Maybe you didn't close that bracket before, but it's important to do that. Okay, next question I'd like you to have a go at. I'm just going to ask you to do 2 more questions. So you can just copy down the triangle in your book quickly. It doesn't have to be super neat. It doesn't even have to be with a ruler. Just the dimensions are the more important thing, the 10, the 75 and the x. So copy it into your book. have a go at it, pause the video, and then I'll go for it. So you should have had a chance to have a go at that now. So I'm just going to work through it. So that tells me that it's going to be another tan one because I'm finding up and I've got adjacent. It's quite similar to the last question actually. So cover up the op, so that tells me that opposite equals tan of the angle times the adjacent. Now I'll just sub in my values, so op equals tan 75. Remember, close that bracket, times it by 10. Let's see if I get one of those answers down there. So typing this into my calculator now. Tan 75 times 10. Pressing that S to D button to convert it to a decimal, and I get that you should get answer B, 37.3. Okay, last question to have a go at today. Right, so have a go at this question, pause the video, and I'll go for it. Okay, so labelling this triangle, well, my right angle is actually here, so this must be my hypotenuse. This is opposite the angle in question. So let's do the working out. So I've got I'm trying to find my opposite, and I've got my hypotenuse, so that tells me it's going to be sine. That's a shame we didn't get to do a cos one today, but I'm sure we will tomorrow. So triangle sine is there. I'm trying to find my opposite, so I'll cover up the O, and so I'll just scribble it out there. So that tells me I need to do sine times sine of the angle times the hypotenuse. So opposite equals sine of the angle times hypotenuse. So op equals sine 45. Remember to close those brackets, times by 5 in this case. So let's type that into my calculator. Sine 45. Close that bracket. Times by 5 is equal to 3.5355, blah 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 blah. So we should get A. Right, I hope you found that useful and a bit more beneficial than just me telling you to watch a video. And I'm sure you've enjoyed hearing my voice again. So throughout this week and next week, I'll be setting you more questions on trigonometry. We'll try and do this again at some point, but it's not going to be every lesson, because some lessons will be like I'll set you maths watch and things like that. But yeah, let me know what you thought of it, and yeah, just email me with your thoughts. Have a good rest of your day.